off-limits for virtually everyone, from ancient human encampments to areas of great danger. It's time to begin. Join me while we take a look at 15 forbidden places that you're not allowed to visit. Number 15. Lascaux Caves, France. In September of 1940, an 18-year-old was walking his dog in the countryside near the French town of Montignac when his pooch suddenly fell into a hole. He gathered a few friends to help with the rescue effort, and they entered the cave, which at the time they thought was a secret tunnel entrance to a nearby manor. What they would go on to discover, however, was one of the most important archaeological discoveries to have ever been made in France, the Lascaux Caves. Made up of a series of caverns that cover an area of around 75 acres, they contain more than 600 paintings of large animals, local plant species, and various other symbols, some of which have been dated back more than 17,000 years. By 1948, the caves have been studied and were open to the public, with more than 1,200 people venturing in to see them for themselves every day. This began to cause some serious problems, though, because of the carbon dioxide, heat, humidity, and other contaminants that were being released into the caves as a result. The paintings were visibly beginning to deteriorate. With signs of fungus and lichen beginning to grow on the walls, too, the decision was made to close the caves in 1963 and embark on a restoration project. They remain off-limits to everyone except for authorized researchers to this day. Instead, a number of replicas have been made, as well as a virtual reality version of the caves, to hopefully give people the chance to admire the beauty of the paintings without causing any further damage to them. Number 14. Maya Bay, Thailand. There's no doubt that Thailand has some of the most beautiful beaches in the world, covered in pristine white sand and leading out to perfectly blue waters. And if there's one that stands out above the rest, it's the Maya Bay Beach on the island of Koh Phi Phi. It looks familiar. That's because this was the location for The Beach, which was released in 2000, and following its prominence in the movie, tourist numbers skyrocketed. By 2015, as many as 1.2 million people were visiting each year, almost 80% of whom were foreign, all looking to relax in the waters and get a glimpse of the bioluminescent plankton that light up the sand at night. This, though, began to have a devastating impact on the beach, which, along with the lasting damage caused during the shooting of the movie, meant something had to be done to preserve it for future generations. Despite attempts to rejuvenate the region while still allowing people to visit, the Thai government decided to ban all visitors in 2019, a law that still remains in effect. The intent is to reopen it at some point in the future, though, and there's a huge project that involves the cultivation of corals and cleaning of trash from the beach to prepare it for when this eventually happens. Number 13. Grand Shrine of Ise, Japan. There are said to be as many as 80,000 Shinto shrines across Japan, with people being just as likely to worship at home as they are in a public building. And while most welcome anyone who wishes to make use of them for their spiritual beliefs, there's one that only a select few people can enter. Known as the Grand Shrine of Ise, it was built to honor Amaterasu, the goddess of the sun and the universe. Amazingly, the construction of the shrine made use of traditional Japanese woodcraft techniques, which means not a single nail was used. It was first built more than 2,000 years ago, but in accordance with the Shinto ideas of death and rebirth, it's actually fully rebuilt every 20 years, and the last time this happened was in 2013. Today, in respect of how important the shrine is, the only people allowed to enter are priests and the members of the imperial royal family. The closest anyone else can get is to see the shrine from the outside through the wooden fences that surround it, but it is permitted to walk around the grounds, which include a forest and a series of ornamental walkways that were built around 150 years ago. Number 12. Morgan Island, United States. Off the coast of South Carolina, there's a 4,400-acre rocky outcrop known as Morgan Island that's been completely off-limits to visitors since 1979. Historically, because of its remote position, it's never been permanently used by people. But in that year, a colony of free-ranging rhesus monkeys was relocated there from Puerto Rico, and the risk of spreading disease meant it simply isn't safe for anyone to come into contact with them. The reason why they had to be moved in the first place is that they were part of a research facility, and there was a huge problem with the transmission of herpes virus B infections, and the island was chosen so they could be studied and live their lives in a controlled environment. Now operated and overseen by the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, most of the more than 3,500 monkeys live in a semi-marine tropical forest that's on the island, and the risk is so severe that they're fed by an automated system from a nearby building. Only occasional researchers are ever allowed to set foot on Morgan Island, which is also often called Monkey Island. And those that are allowed to go have to enter strict quarantine on their return to ensure nothing is spread into the general population. Number 11. Uluru, Australia. Uluru is the most recognizable natural landmark in Australia. Located around 208 miles to the southwest of Alice Springs, it's deep within the outback of the country's Northern Territory and became a popular tourist destination in the 1930s when it was more commonly known as Ayers Rock. The problem, though, was that the natural sandstone formation, which stands 1,142 feet tall, has been a place of spiritual significance to the indigenous people for a long time, and from well before outsiders settled in Australia, and the countless numbers of tourists that were walking up onto it were causing severe damage to its delicate structure. There were also concerns about how visitors were disrespecting Uluru, after a number of incidents of tourists drinking alcohol and stripping on top of the sacred mound. So, in 2017, there was a unanimous vote to ban people from being able to climb it. This new law came into effect in October of 2019, and now, while you're able to witness it from a nearby visitor center, no one's allowed to set foot on it. Even photos from certain angles are prohibited in accordance with traditional beliefs, and offending images have been removed from Google Earth as a mark of respect. Number 10. Mizgorai, Russia. You may have heard about several abandoned towns or cities around the world that are restricted in terms of who can visit, but what about a fully functioning one? That's the strange case